back again and excited to be here with you guys. I appreciate all the support so far, and just how I appreciate how people are not only kind of like tuning in, but they're actually reaching out to you.
Yeah.
You know, and that for me is just an indicator that we're accomplishing the goal that we're setting out to accomplish, and we're not. Our hope is that we're not just throwing information out into the unknown, into the oblivion, you know, where nobody could ever hear it, nobody ever notices it, but that we're actually putting out something or content that can actually help somebody. And so for even one person to reach out and say thank you, or how your message or your story has helped somebody, you know, it's really encouraging. And then even more than that, it's been more than one. So thank you, everybody that's showing all the love and support.
Yeah, really for sure. It. You know, it's good to be back with you guys, feeling like I'm here, present mentally, like I'm not hurting, or I'm not, you know, I'm carrying a heart monitor around and I'm sitting here with the tea, but my back's doing good. I have energy, so which is good. I feel like I have a swarm of just things in my heart and in my head, and it's funny because before we like hop on here and just have a conversation with you guys, you know, Joe always asks me the same thing. So what are we talking about today? And every time that like we have like an idea or we preset things, it never goes the way we want it to, like almost never. And
I don't think she puts enough effort into that process personally, but that's just me.
Yeah. Like Joe he is a thought out person. He needs to have things planned the day before. I don't do that. Like I can't. I feel like even though I say something or I have something planned, like God brings something else into my heart. And I had told Joe, we watched this show called The Maid. I don't know if you guys have seen it yet. And when we saw it, I told Joe, I want to talk about this. And what the show is about, it's about this girl that she's probably like 22 years old, 23 years old. She has a daughter. She's in an abusive relationship, and she tries to get out of the abusive relationship. She's, how can you say, like codependent almost on her mom, even though she like babysits her mom, takes care of her mom, because her mom's like not all there. She's bipolar. She does drugs. She's, you know, like sees a lot of man. She lives in a trailer.
She has some mental health issues.
Yeah, she has mental health issues. So the daughter is like constantly needing her, but also when she needs her, she ends up being there for the mom instead of vice versa.
Oh, I see.
So, you know, that this girl, she's just really like having a rough time because she doesn't think she's in an abusive relationship, yet she's very unhappy and she's getting mistreated. And so long story short, she leaves the house and she tries to survive, trying to make money, and by cleaning toilets. That's why they call her like, she goes and she's a maid for different people, different houses. So obviously, you know, she leaves and she can't make it. She gets on welfare and food stamps and Section 8 and everything that you can think of that a young mom, you know, like, I don't know about any of you guys, but that was me, you know, like before I met you, like that was me trying to leave a relationship and trying to do things on my own, while going to school. And like, it was difficult.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to talk about it because watching it from the outside looking in, I remember being that age. And I remember like at 17, I left my house to go move in with my son's dad, because I had a kid and my dad was a drug addict. My mom was never present. They were always fighting. And in my mind, I'm like, I don't want this life for my son. Like, I don't want this. So I left thinking, This is the less of both evils, I guess. How do you say that?
Yeah, the lesser of two evils.
Yeah. So here I am, like living with this family that like they know nothing about me. I know nothing about them. Completely different culture. They were Japanese. I'm Mexican. You know, so it was so different.
Yeah.
Very different. And throughout that time, like seeing that show, like it really shocked me, and I wanted to express and talk about the fact of having boundaries for yourself, or learning to have boundaries for yourself, and what that looks like. Because it doesn't necessarily look like just say no. You know what I mean? It's not necessarily that. There's so much into that. And a lot of the times, like, God gives us our willpower. What is it called? Like, our willpower. He gives us control over our life, and we get to make these decisions that we think that we don't get to decide, and we do.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's tough. I think one of the things that I notice about people in general, you know, just growing up, you know, my parents had a toxic relationship, and so they ended up divorcing when I was 7. And one of the things I can recall is just this, I think this idea that people want, in their heart of hearts, they want it to work.
Yeah.
You know, because they want the family unit to stay together. It's just that maybe if you weren't raised to know what that looks like, or if you're just trying to turn a blind eye thinking that you're doing the best for your children, then you might be even in denial about what the truth is about your situation. You don't want to accept it, or the embarrassment of maybe other people told you that's a bad idea. And then now you have to turn back around and go back to those same people and say, you were right. You know, like sometimes that's enough to get people to just try to keep it under wraps and hide it and make it so that nobody else knows what's going on. All in all, it's very difficult. One of the things that I remember that was significant about the show in and of itself is it really did give a lot of perspective, maybe for somebody that hasn't gone through it, or maybe that somebody that's in the midst of it and they're blind to their situation because they're in it, is just some of the statistical stuff, like, you know, how many times a woman might actually leave the house and go back.
To the abusive relationship.
Yes, and it's just because it's familiar, it's easy, or maybe they just have something over them mentally and emotionally, where
spiritually.
They're all like captive to that person or that relationship. So if, I don't know, I guess if somebody were going through that, I hope that they would know that there are resources, you know, to help them overcome that.
And I think that one of the reasons why it really touched me and I wanted to talk about this is because we were talking last night, and I was telling Joe, like, when I first met him, like, I knew that I wanted to be loved. I knew that I wanted to be cared for and respected. And I knew that I wanted to just know what it felt like for somebody to care about me. And I didn't know what that would look like. I just knew that I wanted that. So my point is that sometimes we are in the life that we're in thinking that this is the way that life goes and it can't be better than that. But when you are in sorrow and you are in pain and you're constantly in a way where your spouse is like emotionally abusing, physically abusing, and it's not just one time, and it's over and over, you know, when they control you by the money, when they control you by, like, and I mean money with, like, you can't do anything, you can't go nowhere, you got no credit cards, you got
limiting your access.
Limiting your access. No, you can't visit your family. Like, no, you can't go. And it's weird because sometimes you just think that it's like, oh, they don't mean it that way, but little by little, it's like, no, we're not going to go to your families. And you just accept it like if it's normal, but it's not normal. And me seeing that on the outside now, like, it's not normal, you know, like, because it takes away all your support system. Like, who else can you talk to? Who else can you say? If you have no ability to have a cell phone, or, you know, like, those things are not normal. And when you're outside looking in, you need to know that you do deserve something good. You do deserve not to be hurt. You do deserve to be cared for, you know, like, and if somebody is mistreating you that way, like, if you don't stand up for yourself, like, your kids are not going to do that. They can't do that for you. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't know, like, I just felt like it just needed, I don't know, like, to be said more than just that movie. You know what I mean? To allow people to see, like, even though nobody sees what's going on in your house, like, God knows what's happening in your house, you know, and you're not alone, you know, and, like, a lot of the times we feel like we are alone, like, well, who's going to help me? But that's the point that I want to get to. Like, God can only do so much. You have to also, you have legs, you have arms, like you have a mouth, like you need to be able to use what God's giving you to be able to put yourself in safe situations for you and your kids. And that includes boundaries from everybody, your parents, your in-laws, your spouse, like from everybody, including yourself. You know what I mean? Like boundaries.
So, I mean, me personally, I don't recall like ever being in a relationship like that. So I personally don't know. Like everything that I know is just like some vague experiences growing up, and then maybe what I've learned or heard from other people. But being that you were in that and you've experienced that, what do you think was the first opportunity, or what helped you to kind of find your way out of that?
God, because I didn't think it was a bad relationship.
Oh, okay.
Like,
so you didn't have like an aha moment where you said, this is wrong, I need to get out?
No.
You just like learned it afterwards?
Yeah, well, to me, it was like, I'm trying to seek happiness. I'm trying to find what made me happy. So what happens? Oh, maybe if I'm unfaithful and I find somebody that can get me out, because the crazy part about it is that in my mind, I said, if somebody doesn't basically come and get me out, I'm never going to leave. I'm stuck here. That's in my mind. That's what I said. So I remember
stuck there because you didn't have a choice to leave, or stuck there because that would have been your best option? That would have been
my best option.
Okay.
Because I graduated high school. Yes, I just did that, and we lived in his parents' house. So I didn't have a job. I didn't have any money of my own. I had a son. Like, he worked. So everything that I did have, like, quote unquote, was his. You know what I mean? And he made sure that he let me know that. You know, so like, and I just thought that was normal. It's like, well, who else is going to stay here and watch the baby? Like, I have to be here. You know, and at many of the times it was just like, I need to control the money because I'm the one that budgets everything. But I didn't have access to anything, like, at all. Like, not a car, not nothing. Like, till later on, like, I had to take this kid to the doctor. Like, you know, we have to share a car or things like that. But for the most part, it was just little by little. And it's crazy because if you probably would sit us both and have this conversation, like, in his mind, none of it was the way that I see it. None of it. Yeah. And that's the problem. That a lot of the times the person that's doing these things doesn't necessarily feel that they're hurting anybody, because it's just, that's the way they are. Like, this is me, you know, but doesn't mean that that's a healthy relationship.
Yeah.
You know, there was many times where I would catch different phone numbers on his cell phone, and I would just be like, I'm not good enough. It's because I'm not good enough. That girl's prettier, so it gives him the right to flirt with other girls or talk to other girls, you know. And, you know, he's mentioned, like, I am fat, I'm too big, you know, like, so
he called you that?
Yeah, that his nickname was Fat Girl to me. Like, that was his love nickname to me.
Wow.
You know, so it's like, and it was, and I accepted it because I thought that was endearing and that was loving.
How much if you don't mind me asking, like, how much did you weigh at that time?
Like, I don't know, 107.
Dang, you believed that?
Yeah, I really did. I really did. Like, I believed that I was like fat, and I threw up because of it. I would throw up my food. We would eat. I make sure that nothing went down because I cannot, like, gain any more weight. Like, if he doesn't love me the way that I am now, then how the heck is he gonna love me if I'm, like, I don't know, 15 more pounds more heavier? You know, like, and even now in our marriage, like, you could see that even the weight thing is something that I've worked on a lot, but it's still, like, to some degree, it makes me uncomfortable because it's like, it creates trauma in your life regardless, you know? Yeah. So to me, those are the things that a lot of people think, like, oh no, but that's nothing. It's not normal, but those things hurt. They harm you. They scar you, you know? And I remember, like, we wouldn't go see my family because they were drama. And in my mind, I'm like, they are drama. Like, I don't want to go see them. You're right. But little by little, like, I wouldn't go as often anymore. I wouldn't see them as often till I remember that in my mind, the only thing that was important, and I thought, okay, if this guy's really commits to me, if he marries me, then everything is going to be great. as soon as he signs those papers and hands me a ring, then we're going to be golden. You know, that's what I thought in my mind. So here we are, like, I'm looking at weddings. I mean, at venues, I'm like getting a dress. And then it was like, oh, psych, never mind. We're not going to get married. I lied. Like, and that really showed me the value that I had wasn't much.
Wow.
You know, like, then nobody wants me. Like, I'm not good enough to be marriage material. And I have your kid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that definitely sounds like conflicting information.
And I'm young, so I didn't know better, you know?
Yeah.
I didn't know better.
Wow, that's crazy. So, like, one of the things that I remember from the show was this, in the beginning, it wasn't like physical abuse, you know, it was like psychological, it was verbal, and then it turned into like throwing stuff, and then it turned into like putting hands on her. And so it seemed like the message was, it doesn't start like full blast, you know, full on. Well, most of the time it doesn't start like full on abuse, you know, it's subtle, and then it progresses. Did at any point in time, did you feel like, man, things are getting worse, or did you take it like, I need to try harder?
At the moment, like, I didn't know. Like, I just kept doing what I just normally did, just that. And all I did was voice my voice louder. Like, I'm unhappy. Like, I don't want to be in this relationship like this. Like, you don't want to marry me. You're doing this stuff. Like, I don't have anything. Like, I'm just alone. Like, all these things. And it was just like, suck it up, buttercup. You know, like, just suck it up. You know, it was just like, your drama now. You know, so in my mind, I'm like, dang it, I am drama. And I remember the last straw when he said, like, we're not going to get married. I just said, okay, like, if you don't, like, marry me, like, I'm going to find somebody else. Somebody's going to give me, and I remember saying it so clearly, like, somebody's going to give me what you don't give me. And he said, like, nobody's going to give you that. Like, no. Like, nobody's going to take you in, basically, the way you are. And I believed it. But in that moment, I'm like, I'm looking. And that's what I thought. That if I looked, that whoever or whatever would just, like, take me away. Like, that's what in my mind, I just wanted somebody to take me away. And it was funny because that day that we talked, and I tell this story because it's crazy, us as women, we open these doors, we open our eyes, and that's what I mean about boundaries. We choose. You say we don't, but we choose. That day, that in the morning, I woke up and I chose, and I said, there was this guy that would always try to talk to me in our college, and he was in like the air conditioning stuff.
Oh, the HVAC.
Yeah. So he would always try to talk to me, but I would ignore him because I'm like, I have a kid, I'm with somebody, like, I don't want to talk to anybody. But that day, I'm like, if I see him, I'm going to give him my number. Like, I'm not even going to play hard to get. Forget that.
It's on.
Yeah, I'm like, it's on. You know, guys, I wasn't a Christian back then. I was like, God was nowhere in sight. So
like, I don't even got AC, but you can come on down.
So here I am. I'm just kind of like, okay, you know, like, I'm waiting. And I remember, like, putting my hair up in a bun real quick. I'm in a rush. And I'm like, look in the mirror. And I'm like, hey, my hair looks cute today. It's in a bun, messy bun. So where did I go to school? I go to school, and then what's the first thing? I run into this guy that I don't like right in front of me, that he's gotten on my nerves for almost a whole entire year. And what do you tell me?
I said, I like your hair.
And that was it.
That was it.
That was it. And so from that moment, it was just like, I felt like I saw the door open.
Yeah.
You know, like, and it was so weird because, you know, I felt really lost. I felt lost that, like, even you were not the answer that I was looking for.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, I was empty. I was void. I felt I feel like a big void was in my heart. And I just felt like, I don't know, like, I felt so alone. And even though, like, in our lives, we can have people around us, we can be having sex, we can be promiscuous, we can be going out drinking, we can do whatever. I mean, you were the opposite. You did all of that, you know, like, didn't you? And you were still empty as well.
Yeah.
You know, there was nothing to fill you, and there was nothing to fill me.
Yeah, it's like a bottomless pit. That you just can't fill.
I was just the more quiet introvert that was still empty, that supposedly played it the goody two shoes. You know what I mean? I was empty.
Yeah.
You did the opposite. You were still empty. There's like no in between.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
That's true. And it's kind of weird because like the beginning of our relationship, it's definitely not like it's not like a romantic comedy or nothing like that. Yeah. It's not like it was planned out or nope. It wasn't something that we pursued or thought that it was going to happen. It just kind of happened. At the same time, it's not even ideal. It's not how you even want a relationship to start. So it was really messy.
Heck yeah.
It was really hard. It was a lot of drama. Yeah. Like it was weird. Weird. I think that what tends to happen is broken people find broken people because being broken is something to have in common.
Yeah.
And having that in common, it almost makes you feel like we're on even ground because I can't judge you and you can't judge me. And so it's like we're starting from zero.
Dang,
and that's
true.
The best that we can do.
Yeah.
That's the best starting that we have.
Yeah, that's true.
And so we think that we're going to heal or help each other when really we just mess each other up in new ways.
Yeah.
And
it's so sad because it's good people. You know what I mean? It's like you and I were talking last night.
I don't think I was a good person.
Well, I mean, like the nutshell of you. You know what I mean? Like the nutshell, it was good.
Yeah.
And here I am, like, and we were talking last night, and I was telling him, like, because he was holding me, and I'm like, man, to think that I was gonna give up on you during our marriage because it wasn't working out, and to think that if I wouldn't have pushed forward, if we wouldn't have pushed forward and not given up, and given up on our marriage, we wouldn't have got to where we are now, which is here.
Yeah.
And, again, but it's the choices. It's the choices who we chose to let in and out of our life. It's the choices that we made on what to, how do you say it? Like persevere,
yep.
In whether it was counseling, marriage counseling, whether it was tons of retreats, whether it was, like
just all the above.
The choices, like all of the choices get you to where you want to be. And that's what captured me from that show, that at the end, she got to the top of this mountain. Oh, I'm not going to give it out because then it's just like...
Spoiler alert.
I just said top of the mountain, but at the end, like there's a good ending. And it just goes to show like when you really can just look back, allow God to help you to see what the toxic, just like company, what the toxic environment in that you're in sometimes, what the toxic, mentality that you have is, what is it doing to you? Then you can realize and really open your eyes and see, okay, I want to set these boundaries.
Yeah.
Whether it's not letting negativity come by, whether it's, saying like, I'm not going to say I'm going to divorce my husband. I'm going to push and fight through. Whether it's saying, you know what, this guy has abused me enough. I'm going to stand up. I'm going to leave. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Regardless, whatever it is, like you have the choice to stand up for yourself. And it doesn't have to be in a mean way. It doesn't have to be in a way where it's scarring everybody or you're like the ambulance that doesn't care if, there's cars coming. No, it's in a way that, it's thought out. You get up, and you do your choices wisely,
Yeah, I don't wish that for anybody, and I would just hope that people would open their heart to the idea of just allowing Jesus in, so that they could see that there's a value and a purpose, and that they've been created with, and a purpose to be created for, that goes beyond, what their circumstance might show them, that goes beyond what they could see in the world that they're trapped in or that's around them, and know that they are valuable, they are loved, and there's a better way, a better way of life, and a better future, and a hope for them that is not dictated or determined by their current situation. That they can get out, and there's something more, and there's something better. And I would just hope that, that they would know that, just, I don't know, I can't explain it, that they're not just that they're loved, but that they would love themselves enough to know that they that there's something more for them. They don't have to settle, right? I guess that's what I'm trying to say. They don't have to settle and just kind of tap out and lay down and just, like you said at one point, you know, this is the best that I can do. And think that that's the end. I hope that there's more. And I think our story in that case is a good example of, you know, both of us being very broken, but at the same time with a desire, a personal desire to want to do better in life. And so we each made an individual effort to grow. And that's how we're able to get to where we are now, you know, almost 15 years later. And, you know, during our conversation last night, one of the things that just impacted me and it kind of even made me a bit emotional was just that it's like a double-edged sword. On one end, I'm growing, and so I'm learning new things and I'm understanding things in a different way. And I'm hoping that it makes me a better husband and a better father and all that stuff. And then on the other side, I think like, man, I've unlocked this new thing. This is amazing. This feels wonderful. And then the realization that like, it's almost been 15 years now that went by, you know, and how much did I miss? How many mistakes did I make thinking that I was doing right, thinking that I was right and not apologizing or not being humble enough to accept it or being prideful. And it's just a really weird, a strange thing, but I'm not going to dwell on that part. You know, I'm going to be grateful for the growth and grateful for change and just try and take advantage of every moment here and moving forward. And especially with just what you're going through. I can't remember how long you've been wearing your heart monitor now. It's been, 2 weeks? And so we're hoping that after 30 days, you know, you can get some results. But even more now, you shared something with me where you just felt like you understood that, like, how fragile life is, you know, and how your life really is in God's hands. And so just appreciating all of this stuff to really want to just live in the moment and enjoy every moment that we have and try not to sweat the small stuff and not argue and bicker over things that don't matter and just enjoy it. You know, love the kids, love you, love the moments we have together, take care of what we need to take care of, enjoy that even, you know, help out and just everything that you can possibly do to do good. You know, to be loving, like do that.
I was talking to my son today. We've been having some deep conversations, and one of the things that he asked me is, Mom, like, why don't they choose to choose good for their lives? Like, why? And I said, sometimes they don't know that they're not choosing that for their lives. Like you said, it's been 15 years and I just had an aha moment last night, you know, and sometimes they don't know. But I told them that the part that helps you to find out is the more that you seek God, your relationship with God, He starts to reveal things to you as you go through this process called life. And I go, but He is the one that unlocks all these like doors or these like, you know, aha moments. And I go, but you have to be connected to Him. So a lot of the times people are not connected to Him, so they don't have these moments and they feel like they're wasting their life because it's like they don't know, like nothing's sure. Everything just seems so chaotic versus even though things still feel chaotic in our way, but everything doesn't have to make sense in order for us to enjoy it. You know what I mean? And God continues to bring things to a different level of enjoyment, of love, of passion, of creativity, of just everything. I like that. You know, so I just told him, and I go, because he's not out of the house yet, but I told him, when you leave, you get to choose. You get to set your boundaries and who you want to influence your life. You get to pick your set of friends because they're the ones that are going to influence your life. You get to pick where you live because that's also going to influence your life. You get to pick around the job that you want to go to, and that's going to influence your life. But you get to pick. I go, and if you are connected to God, if you are connected to the source of all wisdom, you are not going to fail. You're not going to fail. So that's the same thing for us, for you on the other side. Like if you've been in a place where you feel like you're going in circles and things don't make sense, like, are you connected to God? Are you connected to him so he can really just guide you and help you? If you've been asking these questions of like, why am I so this? Why am I struggling? Why am I hurting? Why does this person keep doing this to me? But you can't have the power to leave because you don't have the strength enough in you, then you need to connect to the one that can give you that strength. Yes. Because once you connect, he will guide your way. And the best thing that I can explain is, before I left my house, I wasn't talking to my mom. I wasn't talking to my dad. I basically had no place to go if I ever left. And then here I go praying the day before and saying, you know what, God, if it's your will, help me to leave. And he hadn't given me the option to leave. And it's weird of me even saying that, but he just said like, no, you can't go. No, you can't. So I wouldn't. And then that day I remember praying. He came home and I said, I'm leaving. And I'm taking my son and we're leaving. And he said, yeah, sure. You'll be back. You'll be back tonight. You'll be back tomorrow. Like,
had you done that before and went
never.
back?
I had never done that. In the 5 years that I was with him, I never did that. Like, so I grabbed my stuff and I couldn't even believe that he like let me do that. Like he let me grab my stuff and I left and I never went back.
Nice.
So God gives you the strength and he makes a pathway.
Amen to that.
So, and here I am.
Yeah. I'm grateful that we are where we are now. Probably could have done better in the beginning.
Oh my God, yes.
You know, I probably should have done things differently. And
well, we all could have, you know, and the crazy part, like that in that show, in the story, like the guy that she left, like he was a good guy. You know, the mom was a good mom. Like everybody is struggling in their own way. Yeah. You know, like, but everybody needs God. You know, in people's stories, like both of them need God. The person that's hurting and the person that's not hurt. That's you know, like everybody.
That's true. I could relate to that guy's story. You know, like, in the way he had been raised or the things that he went through when he was growing up. Like I definitely could relate to that and understand why it's hard to not be messed up.
Yeah.
You know, when certain things have affected you over the course of your life or upbringing. But all in all, there's really one answer to all of it. Mm-hmm. You know, there's this thing that's called the human condition, and we tend to just be selfish, but also at the same time we tend to be self-destructive. Mm-hmm. And it's because in the pursuit of pleasure, in the pursuit of happiness, in the pursuit of achieving and attaining things, sometimes we jeopardize our own character, our integrity, friendships, relationships, hurt others in order to overcome or get a step ahead. And it's just part of who we are, you know, outside, without God's influence that calls us to love others, you know, to sacrifice, to serve, to put others and think of others ahead of yourself, or think highly of them and less of yourself. And so that's just the human condition. And the only real cure for that is Jesus, to have a relationship with Jesus. But yeah, I appreciate you sharing your story.
I can't believe I just did that. I'm like, can you just edit all of that out?
I know. I see the look in your eye and some of the things, like contemplating, should I keep saying this?
I know. I mean, but you know what, to be honest, it's like, in all fairness, like this was years ago, almost 20 years ago. You know what I mean? Like, and we were young, we were teenagers, we were kids. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, does it take away from the scars that you hold on to with things that you went through as a child, as a teenager? No. I mean, God minimizes the consequences. Yeah. But the scars are there.
True that.
You know? So, and I'm pretty sure that as crappy of a person that I was as a teenager, I didn't have anything to give me a good influence. So, I mean, I can't imagine the things that I said or I did that were hurtful. You know what I mean? So it goes both ways. So I say it because it doesn't mean that that's the person who he is now, because I'm not the person that I am now. and like everybody's doing their thing now. And sometimes, I don't know, just God brings different people. What does our pastor say? Something like, he always says it with me and you. Like maybe it didn't work out with the person before, but it works out with the other person.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But that's it.
All right. Well, let's pray. Lord, thank you for just using our story to not only possibly help somebody along the way, but to just have us reflect on how much you actually have done throughout the years, the things that you've rescued us from, the situations that you've saved us from, and even saving us from ourselves and our destructive ways. Lord, I thank you for just the love that you instill in us and the ways that you show us that we have value and that you love us and that you care. So much so that it gives us strength and encouragement to stand up when things are wrong, to step out in faith when we're unsure, and more than anything, just to keep our hope and our trust in you. Lord, we just thank you for those listening, and we just pray that your blessing and strength will be upon them. Give them peace and help them make decisions that they need to make, no matter how difficult, Lord. Guide them and be with them. In Jesus' name we pray.